They might have had sharks on Mars once upon a time.
Frankie, is there fruit flies on Mars?
Then one day they have to send those cattle and livestock and plants and animals up in the space shuttle to Mars one day, like cows, boars, chickens, turkeys, things like this. All those farm animals and livestock and things like this.
Well, it would make no sense to transport the livestock, as Hilding might agree, when you could just transport, say, frozen embryos that when you land at said world that we plan to populate with cattle. So say we plan to go to Io and live under the ice with our underwater cattle. We just bring them the test tube cattle rather than trying to bring a herd of... Hilding, what would bringing a herd of cattle onto a spaceship be like, you think? I mean, we can't have cow turds just floating around in zero gravity.
They have to get a special thing for cow.
I think cows are pretty much. I think cows are pretty much made for the earth, and it's be pretty hard to transport them that far. Even when we transport them here, there's trouble, you know.
Do you agree with me that transporting cattle themselves floating around, pooping, peeing all over the spacecraft would not be viable, especially through a 6-month voyage and whatnot? That it would be easier to bring a test tube cow and grow a cow on, wherever we go, like the sun.
Well, the magic of growing test tube cattle on the sun is that you're actually effectively just growing hamburgers. So you're pre-grilling your beef. And I like this concept. Technologically speaking, I think we're onto something and need to pursue it.
Have you seen the size of my snowbanks? I mean, living on the sun seems still right about now.
If you were going to transport a test tube cow, you still need to have a cow to grow that calf into an animal at the other end. So you have to transport one cow. But once you have one cow there, you can transport frozen embryos for millions of miles. So it would be viable to transport one cow because you could keep it in a small enough space.
You could put it in like a cow freeze, cryogenic freezing.
Well, get it to, you just have to make a stall that was a certain size and keep a cow stay in a stall for 6 months or so while you traveled around space.
Yeah, no, you can't have turds floating into the equipment. Okay, so if we can get to another planet, if we can go and live on the sun, we can find a way to grow a cow there once we do so. I mean, this isn't rocket appliances.
To be fair, having a cow just floating around in the cabin of your ship would be kind of wild. Because, I mean, you're cruising around, you're surfing the rings of Saturn, all of a sudden you got a cow go sailing past your face, or it just kicks you in the back of the head. But the upside is that when your crewmates really annoy you, you've got like road apples just floating in the air. So you can like just pick them out of the sky and whip it at your crewmates. So
well, it's different. I've participated in many cow turd fights, but you do that in the wintertime when the, you make sure you don't grab a fresh one. You don't grab a fresh one. If it looks really green, you let that one. You go to the one next to it that's frozen, and you whip it at your Uncle Gary and hit him, and then he says, "You little." There's a number of expletives I won't. Shaw would appreciate me not to say, as would everybody in CRTC and the government of North Korea and everybody, right? So, but yeah, he's like, you, and then he picks up a turd and. And we're like, man, can't wait for baseball season. And we're just throwing turds. It's happened. Hoya Menson.
The best thing to do would be to power your rocket ship with the turds.
Oh, Hilding, your bandwidth's so low.
Power your rocket ship with the turds, then you get there.
We're just barely getting you. Your connection is so turdy.